Y'all want a little afternoon snack? I don't have nothing else, Bubba. Oh, you're starting to grow your tusks. I saw them little bitty things in there. You trying to be like Mater. What are you doing, Miss Olivia? What are you doing? Are those boys being nice? No, don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. I already pet you and you left. Don't get jealous now. May, what are you doing, brother? What are you doing, Bubba? What? Oh, stretch it out, big dog. Stretch it out. I know. I know you big baby. You such a big baby. I mean, hey, what you doing with the pigs? You're not supposed to be up here. No need for back talking. Hey, what's up, guys? Staying here from Rocky Creek. Welcome back to the homestead. Thought we'd go ahead and take the day and go ahead and update you on how the Chozi door's been doing, but then also I really have not been down to the garden since we tore everything out of the garden late in the fall of last year. And so I think I'm gonna go down there because it's a relatively warm day for the season, and I'm gonna go take a peek and see how things are looking. Really the only sort of crop things, you will, that are down there is we have the garlic that we put in the fall that we put straw over and left over the winter, and our strawberry plants are down there, and the asparagus is in the ground. Everything else will need to be mended and getting ready for planting. We'll be starting seedlings here probably in the next, about a month or so. Rule of thumb for us is usually somewhere around mid-April into May. By Mother's Day is when I want to get stuff in the ground. So usually about mid-March into April, we'll start getting some seeds going. But we'll get to that here in a minute. So we're going to talk about, though, the Chozi door. We installed this door a couple weeks back, and honestly, thus far, it's been operating extremely well. We've not had any issues with it. If anything, just the stickers. They didn't really say if they're outdoor stickers or not. The stickers kind of came off with the weather. But other than that, the door is operating really flawlessly in comparison to our, really? What are you doing? Can I help you? But overall, the Chozi door has been operating flawlessly. It's been operating just as well as our omelet door. And actually, kind of the neat thing is I left this one on light sensor mode, which is also how the omelet door is. And even though it's on this side of the building, I thought it would have a harder time registering day and night. They actually close consistently, only about 1 minute apart from each other. And so I'm actually kind of glad they're staggered a little bit. So if a bird didn't get into one door, they have basically a minute to try to get into the other door before they closed off. And so far, all the birds have made it in. We did have one night that the goose was out and nobody else was, which the goose is always the last one in, but it was also a day that we had some inclement weather. So I don't know what happened there, but as soon as I opened the door, goose went in no problem. But at the end of the day, a couple weeks in with Chozi door, it's worked out great. As I said in previous videos, it was much easier to install, and it is a little bit more affordable. So if I were to have to buy another door as of right now, I do think this would probably be the door I would purchase in the future, just because it was easier to install. It's just a little bit cheaper, not much, but a little bit cheaper. But the biggest thing is the installation of it was much easier. And thus far, we're about a couple weeks in. It's working well. We'll keep you up to date as we get a few more months in, but right now, it's going really well. I think one of the big things we're on standby for is this little lady. I'm pretty sure will be laying eggs at any point in time now. Her mannerisms are changing a little bit, but I think pretty soon we're going to be in the goose laying season, which goose laying season also means attitude season. Causing problems. I know you're going to bite me. No, you settle down. Look, y'all see that? Fearless. Stop. This is why I wore a thick jacket. She just keeps on. Hey, ow, that's my hand. That's my hand. Hey. Oh, now you're real mad, huh?
They do got a pretty good bite. You can see the bruise she put on my hand.
That's always a very interesting time. But last year I thoroughly enjoyed getting the goose eggs from her. We used them in a lot of different dishes and recipes. Her attitude, not so much enjoyable. It was quite comical. But yeah, Miss Gertie here, I think will be laying us some eggs very soon. Q, settle down. Oh, Beefy. All right, guys, so down here at the garden, and you can see for the most part, it looks like a desolate wasteland. We're gonna get ready to get down in here and start working on some prepping here very soon. First thing we do is we get all these leaves out of here that have fallen over the season. I really don't mind them being in here during the off season because it's just nutrients and biodegradable matter that I feel like will add some nutrients back to the ground. But let's go over here and check out the garlic, and this is what spawned me to want to come down here as I started noticing a bit of green. Now there is a good bit of green mixed in here that's not garlic. I think it's going to be some remnant seeds that were in this straw that we put on, so some of it's grasses. So I'm going to get the grasses pulled real quick and we'll see what's actually some garlic starting to sprout up. So you can see some of these garlics are coming up really good. We did have some roller coaster of weather, so I was worried that we did have some freezing temperatures if it would cause some damage to these, but we're a good week or so later than some of the freezing temps we've had, and I'm not seeing any delayed browning or dying off, so I think the roots themselves are okay. I think our biggest problem we're going to see with this bed down road in the long run is going to be we got some kind of critters or rodents or something that have kind of made a couple little holes messing around with some of this stuff. And I think that might be some of our greater impact of some yields that we might get. But right now it's really early. This was our first chance at planting garlic over the winter, or really first time of planting garlic at all. And for only doing one little trial bed, it looks like it's doing fairly well. So hopefully it'll be a good season and we'll have some good luck with this as it goes. Over here is the old Swiss chard bed in kohlrabi. And I thought it's pretty neat how I'd never pulled any of this out, and it looks like I got some Swiss chard plants trying to start back up on their own. And it even looks like some of these that had died off are trying to come into some shoots. And then this kohlrabi that had died off looked like it's trying to do some growing too. So I'm kind of wondering if I'm not going to end up with some volunteer plants in here, or if the Swiss chard never died off completely because we did have a milder winter than normal. There's not much to look at on this bed right here. This is the bed that had our asparagus crowns in it. They grew really well last year, but we didn't harvest anything because everything I read said not to harvest the first year and to wait until the second year. So I'm hoping we'll have some luck. My only concern is the same thing we have with the garlic bed, is I do got some spots here where some rodents or something, or birds or something, has been messing with the bed. I'm not sure if they've done anything to the asparagus crowns at all yet, but time will tell on that. Coming over here to where we had our vajayga beds out of last year, this bed right here was all flowers, and we just let the flowers die off, and you can see there's actually a ton of like what would have probably been seed pods from different plants fall into here, and we're just kind of going to let it go rogue and see what happens, because we're already starting to get some kind of a growth here. It kind of reminded me of, at first, of looks almost like carrot heads, but it's not. It's part of some of the flowers that were in here that are starting to take off on their own. And since this bed served no purpose really other than flowers for decoration and pollination in our home, decoration for our home, pollination for the garden, really if any flowers want to grow in here randomly, I'm fine with that. So we purposefully let those plants die off, dropping any of their flower seeds back into this bed, because all the flowers that grew in here did well. We were pleased with all of them, so I have no issues with any of them growing back in this bed whatsoever. Here is a bed I was concerned about. Number one, because last year was our first year growing strawberries, and number two, the plants had multiplied probably by at least 10 times as the season went. And I did straw and mulch these over the winter, but they kept growing so much, I wasn't sure how much I should or shouldn't cover them up. You can see a little critter's been messing around in here as well. But overall, these plants have filled this bed up tremendously. I think once I know we're clear of winter, I'll get in here and I'll dig out all this leaves and stuff that are in here and replace that with some straw bedding around each of the plants. But if things progress as they are, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be thinning out some strawberry plants this year. And last year we only put, I believe it was about 5 plants in this entire bed. And in the course of only one summer, the whole bed is almost full. So I think strawberry plants are going to do really well for us this year. So this bed right here was what we had our Charente melons growing in last year. But what I want to show you this bed for that I think is so interesting to show you decomposition and matter, adding nutrient matters to your soil, is this is now our 3rd year with this bed. The first year we didn't plant anything in it. We only added a combination of the wood chips you see here along with leaves and some composted dirt into this thing, filled it up completely, and it dropped down to almost 50%. So last summer I came back in, added it again with compost, all compost, had it full to the top, and you can already see that it has dropped every bit of, deeper than my hand would be, I would say about 10 inches or so, that has since decomposed and dropped down in this bed. So we're going to be adding more organic material to it, building it back up, and just keep building that soil. But that's how much it can decompose in only 1 year, especially if you have organic matter. It's great for the soil, but you do got to keep adding to it. So we're going to be mending this bed and getting it prepped for gardening here pretty soon. We had this one random cabbage plant that I think tried to survive the winter, trying to form a little head. This was actually one from last year that wasn't doing much, and then when the cooler temperatures came, it started trying to form into a cabbage, and then the winter struck. But somehow it tried to pull through all of winter. We're not going to do much with this. I just thought it's pretty neat to show you how some things can randomly survive through a season. But we'll probably end up, I don't think this will amount to much, we'll see. But by the time it comes time for planting, we'll just end up replacing this with another plant. This seriously is the first time in probably a couple months that I've really come down here and looked at this garden closely. And what really did catch my attention and make me want to come down here and think I should bring you all was I started noticing this greenery in this garlic bed as we've had some abnormally warm temperatures. Now the only thing is though, we are still, March for us in particular is like Mother Nature when she's in her most bipolar type state, is we can have some really highs, and then in the matter of 2 days we can have 30 to 40 degree temperature swings. We just experienced that some last week, and so you never know how things may happen. But that's also why we may start seeds in a greenhouse where I can have a little more control, but I will not put seeds in the ground out here in our area because it becomes too much of a roller coaster and it's too big of a gamble, and I don't want to put all that work in just to lose it. But in the meantime, I like to use March as my time to really start cleaning this garden up. So I'll try to bring you all along with us as I try to get this thing cleaned up. We start getting these beds amended, and then our drip irrigation, ever since I put some of these raised beds in here and I've added to those, I need to kind of rearrange some of my drip irrigation because that was a huge help in the past. So I will probably be working on and trying to brainstorm some ways to better use my drip irrigation in the future. Right now, one of our big things is we're trying to figure out what seeds do we want to grow this year of what types of crops. We know what kind of staple crops we like to grow every year, but then kind of what varieties of those types of crops, what type of corn do we want to do this year? What type of green bean do we want to do this year, or beans in general? And what type of cucumber? We know what type of foods we want, but sometimes we like to play with the different varieties to figure out what works best for us in our area. Sometimes it's not about which ones do you like the best, but sometimes you got to balance what do you like and what grows best in your area. So we're going to be doing some brainstorming on that here in the very near future. And once we figure out what we're going to plant this year, we'll be sure to let you know. But just want to give you all a sneak peek down here at the garden of kind of how things are going. It's a hot mess right now, but it's amazing to see how in the course of about 2.5 months, this thing will start looking beautiful and so green and so full of color and producing such wonderful stuff that it's always worth it in the end. Well guys, that's going to come close to wrapping things up for us here today. There's nothing mind-altering or earth-shattering going on here down here at the homestead right at this moment. This is actually kind of the time where things are kind of quiet, and then we're really going to get cranked up here in the next coming months, because we'll have the garden stuff that we'll start working on and planning for, and then we'll also have but then also I got to start thinking about meat production. Last year I didn't raise any meat birds because we were getting so much beef this upcoming year from our friend's farm. Well, unbeknownst to me, my daughter was going to end up being diagnosed with alpha-gal, and so red meat is not the ideal thing to cook every single day now for quite a while until that kind of settles out. So now I'm back to, I need to start producing more chicken. And I got a lot going on this summer, both personally and professionally. So I'm trying to balance when's the best time to get that done. I'm leaning towards doing all meat production all at one time towards the late summer into a fall harvest, but I'm still trying to debate that. So I'm thinking all garden for a while, all meat birds for a while, and that's kind of the transition that may work for us in our schedule. But those are all things we're trying to figure out, and we'll bring you along once we figure that out. And then we also have a really big project coming down the pipe, possibly here within the next month or so, which we'll share with you another time. But that also is going to really create some issues in terms of, or potential issues. It might go smooth, but it might really impact what we can or can't get done here on the property. So once all that gets finalized and we have some better details on that, I'll share that with you. But it'll probably be, well, it's not probably, it is the biggest project that we've done here on our property. So we'll share that with you and see what y'all think about it. We're kind of excited for it, but yet we're kind of nervous at the same time. But we'll share that with you when the time comes and we know it's definitely happening. Right now it looks like it is, but we'll see where it ends up. So guys, just a little short thing. I want to give you an update on the coop door, give you an idea of how things are looking in the garden over the off season on what we kind of did, and we're going to get ready to get cleaning that up here very soon. But guys, appreciate y'all. Hope everybody's doing good. Y'all be good, and we'll see you here very soon on our next episode. Thanks, guys.